Page 414, Mark Nepo shares the connection between awakening and present moment awareness. He writes, "Perhaps being awake is paying attention to the ongoing moment of life that we so often take for granted. Yet, as a headlight grows filmed by driving through all kinds of weather, the gift by which we perceive gets covered by experience, and our ability to see is diminished until we clean the gift. This is a lifelong process. So the care of one's being is wiping the residue of experience from your mind and heart, letting your original face again light the way. Though like scratching the middle of your back, we often need each other to regain our sense of oneness." Please look at the screen and say the affirmation with me with conviction. I now drop the idea of becoming someone and realize that I am already a masterpiece, made in the likeness and image of God. I am fully awake and present to who I am, what brings me joy, life I am creating with every thought, word, and action, and to the many ways God shows up all around me. Thank you.
I love that quote by Mark Nepo. It's so down to earth and yet so profound. And this month I've been inviting all of us to imagine that we are opening an invitation. It's a new year, opening an invitation. And within that invitation, it says, you are cordially invited to let 2018 be the year that you awaken to the life of beauty and wonder that Spirit intends for you. So we have an opportunity. If we say yes, does everybody say yes to that, by the way?
Yes.
All right. So we're saying yes to being fully awake and present. I mean, that's the deal. That's how the life of wonder and beauty comes to the surface. That's how we were able to perceive it, to see it, to experience it, and to express it. So, would it be like then if we did practice that presence, that present moment awareness, to be fully present and awake to who we are in every moment, to what brings us joy in the here and now, and to the life that we are creating with every thought we think, every feeling that we feel, and every word that we speak. If we could be fully present, what would happen in this year? I think absolutely amazing miracles would happen because it's when we become unconscious and let things come out of our mouths that we really don't want to create. When we're describing things in our lives that we don't like, we're still using the creative process. So why not stop describing all that stuff and start talking about what it is that we choose and start focusing on the good? And I love the project that Lisa is describing for surrounding ourselves with the beautiful trees of winter and realizing the beauty and grace in that. I was telling Lisa, I believe this last week, some time ago, when I first moved to Delaware years ago, right after Dan and I got married, I was like 20 years old. And I moved from South Florida. So in the wintertime, when I'm looking at the trees, I'm going, oh, I was thinking that wasn't so cool. And it's amazing because as I've grown spiritually and I'm able to perceive the presence of God in everything, I see the beauty in everything. And the winter, the trees and seeing the blue, that brilliant blue against what somebody described to me as the bones of the trees, it is just magnificent. And those are the eyes of the Spirit that we have an opportunity to see through as we begin to perceive the presence of the divine everywhere. Our lives transform. So the first Sunday I described the 4 stages of conscious evolution or spiritual evolution that Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith came up with years ago, years and years ago, is a paradigm that he saw. And the first stage is where a lot of humanity is, which is the why me? Why is this happening to me stage, the mortal stage, where we see that it's basically a stage of feeling powerless and feeling at the effect of life. And so as we awaken to who we are in truth, we begin to forgive, instead of blame ourselves or other people, and we begin to start standing in our power. And we move into the metaphysician stage. And so that metaphysician stage is where we learn about the universal law and we begin to practice using the power of our word to seed the universal law and get a different result in our lives. And it's a very important stage because this stage actually gets carried forward into the higher stages as well. We don't drop this and forget about this. It just we begin to expand in consciousness. So it's important to master this use of the universal law to stabilize every aspect of our lives, our relationships, our finances, our vocations, our health, all of that. And this month, there's been kind of a focus in the newsletter, and Mary, brought it into seeded the universal law again on letting go of this idea of flu and cold season. The more of us that can let go of that, realize it's just an idea in human consciousness that we can let go of, then we can transcend that, and we can experience vibrant health more consistently. We have the power to do that.
Amen.
Yes. I mean, Deb had an example of that this week, right? You were starting to get symptoms and she meditated. She used the power of the word, dissipated. Yeah.
And my daughter has the flu, has that thing going
Uh huh.
on,
Right.
and my husband has something going on.
Uh huh.
Mine.
Uh-huh. Right. It's really using these spiritual tools that we're learning about. It's important to realize how powerful we are in transcending these things. So, using the universal law, so important. And the next stage through me, or the mystic stage, and that's where we we continue to use the universal law. We're not doing that, but we're moving more into an understanding that universal mind is available to us, and we are allowing that inspiration, the ideas in the mind of the universe, to present themselves to us. New visions that are above and beyond anything our human mind could imagine. So when we're in that metaphysician stage and we use visualization, we're limited. We're using really just what we've had experience with. But when we move into that um, mystic stage where we allow ourselves to be used, in one of our songs, "Use Me, O God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all I must do." That is the mystic stage. We allow ourselves to be used. And then the final stage is that stage that the great masters like Jesus and Buddha demonstrated, the spiritual master, the divine as me, that, that Buddha consciousness, we call Buddha consciousness, Christ consciousness, or the great master consciousness, oneness consciousness. Those all essentially mean the same thing. That's when we realize there's no separation. There's no place where God begins and ends, the divine, this one presence. It's present everywhere, in all, through all, as all. And then we really truly begin to see the divine all around us, rising up out of the universal substance in the form that shows up as our bodies and all of the things that are around us. But we realize the essence of it all is one source, one intelligence, one love, one life. And then we live in grace. We live from a place of the awareness of grace. And we move through life with this awareness that grace is carrying us and that we are that grace itself. So today I wanted to deepen into this idea of the master, and I'm going to pose this question to you. Isn't it time that we released self-recrimination, self-doubt, a lack of all these lack ideas, and truly stepped in to divine mastery, into this state of awareness of our union with the source of all that is? That's my question. What's your answer? Okay, all right. Well, that's what this entire year is all about, and this month is really getting us started in standing in that place of mastery. Ernest Holmes writes in The Science of Mind, he writes this about, in fact, Science of Mind is all about divine union. I mean, if you really look at the underlying message, it's about learning to live from this place of divine union. Even the way we pray changes when we realize that we are one with all that is. When we speak the word, and that's what spiritual mind treatment is. We speak the word. Mary so beautifully demonstrated that this morning, and you could feel the power of that, right? Yes, so powerful. So this is what he writes on page, Ernest Holmes writes on page 33. There is that within every individual which partakes of the nature of universal wholeness and is God. That is the meaning of the word Emmanuel, the meaning of the word Christ. We're talking about that sense of the spiritual, the sense of wholeness, sense of oneness. And so in the Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo, the key points that were in that beautiful quote that Linda read is the importance of being awake and present in each and every moment. How that is the way that we cultivate that consciousness of oneness and wholeness. And the idea of wiping the residue of experience from our perception. And that is what we do when we do our spiritual practice. When we meditate, it's a cleansing process. How many of you were aware of that? That's what happens when we meditate. And when we do spiritual mind treatment or when we do affirmative prayer, it's a cleansing of the consciousness. When we do visioning, which we're going to be doing at the end of this message, we're opening ourselves to new divine ideas. And when we allow those new divine ideas to seed our consciousness, we are cleansing all that limitation away. We're opening ourselves to that beautiful life of beauty and wonder that Spirit intended for us. And the other part of, and we let the original face, I love this, letting your original face again light the way, as we clean away that residue. That's what we do here as spiritual community. That's the beauty of spiritual community, of people who are awake in this way, is we can support each other in the state, in remaining more often in this state of awakening. And therefore, when we go out into our lives, we carry that light with us, and we affect others. We influence others in a powerful way to step into their wholeness and into their awareness of oneness. I love this quote by Meister Eckhart, and you've heard it before, I'm sure. But he says, "The spiritual life is not a process of addition, but rather of subtraction. It's clearing away the grit and the grime of false belief," is the bottom line. Because the beauty and wonder, the masterpiece of who we are, is already present. In fact, the January affirmation was inspired by this beautiful quote by the spiritual teacher Osho, which says, "Drop the idea of becoming someone because you're already a masterpiece. You have only to come to it, to know it, to realize it." All right, so let's breathe. Take a breath. So if we're truly ready to step into a state of awakening, I have a beautiful process that I'd like to share with you. How many of you are aware of Louise Hay? Okay. Louise Hay, an amazing um, New Thought, actually religious science minister who is one of those people like Deepak Chopra that has really been out there for quite a long time. A lot of people don't know her roots; they just know her as Louise Hay. But her teachings have really transformed a lot of lives, and she just made her transition like within the last couple of months at age 90. One of the processes that she teaches that is so powerful is called mirror work. And it's where you look in the mirror 15 minutes a day. In fact, she says no more than 15 minutes. And you look in your own eyes. And remember, the eyes are the windows of the soul, yes? So when we look in our own eyes in that way, we are looking into our own souls. And so when we say things, and this is one of the first things she recommends, is to say, I'm willing to love myself. Or I'm willing to love you. You know, you'd be talking to the reflection in the mirror. I'm willing to love you. And then it morphs into, I love you. I really love you. I love you. I really love you. Now, this might seem to people who are new to this is, now how's this going to make a difference? But what she has found by having thousands of people do this process with her and give her feedback is that it helps to wash away all of that stuff that we see, that we misperceive about ourselves, and helps us to really see the amazing spirit being that we're looking at in the mirror, this amazing creation of the one source. And we're able to then fall in love with the self. And how many of you have heard the song, I love myself so much that I can love you so much, that you can love you so much, that you can start loving me? Have you heard that one before? Oh, that's a great one. It's a Ricky Byers-Beckwith song. I love myself so much that I can love you so much, that you can love you so much, that you can start loving me. But anyway, it's the reminder that it all starts with the person that we see in the mirror. It starts with loving the self, and mirror work is a powerful way to do that. And it's a great way to begin perceiving with the eyes of God, this mastery, this master consciousness that we've been talking about. And it's profound. I've done it. I've done this work before. And it's a huge shift to be able to look, and all of a sudden it's almost like the exterior self starts becoming less of the focus, and the focus becomes the that beautiful essence, that light that's coming out of the eyes. It's absolutely an amazing experience, and I invite you to participate in that. I'm going to be going back to that work again myself. And what a great way to usher in February, which is the month of love, right? So why not start it with a deep and abiding love for the self, the God self that is within each and every one of us? Because that's the starting place of really truly showing up as love for everyone else. And remember, she recommends no more than 15 minutes. I don't know why, but that's what she says. Okay. So now let's move into a sacred practice that's part of our spiritual teachings, which is visioning. And so there are visioning forms. And raise your hands if you don't have a pen. And is there somebody in the back there who can help us get the pens? We have a bunch of pens in the back. And anybody not have a form, because the forms were put around in different places. I know we have some extras on some of the chairs. And Dan is going to play some music in the background so that way Deb can participate too. Okay? All right? And everybody has their forms. Anybody else need a pen? Raise your hand if you do. Lovely. Looks like we're ready. Okay, so here's the thing that's important about visioning. And what I love is that science shows us that what the mystics have taught about meditation is why it's so powerful. When we move into a state of meditation, we move into an altered state. We move into alpha and even some of the deeper levels. Theta is probably the most wide open state. But we want to take a few moments. We don't want to start writing right away, but we want to move we want to remove the gatekeeper. That's that part of us, of the conditioned mind that resists the new thoughts or the new ideas or that prevents the new from coming through. And visioning, for those of you who have not done visioning before, is not visualization. What it is a meditative state of sitting in the silence and opening our hearts to whatever new is seeking emergence in us, through us, as us. So we're going to do that first. We're going to take a moment and feel the chairs supporting us and allowing ourselves to rest in the chair and putting our feet flat on the floor and allowing the floor to support our feet. We're becoming very conscious and present in the moment and taking a nice deep breath, slow and deep, and dropping down into the heart. And let's feel our feet. Can you feel your toes? Just notice them. Feel the soles of your feet and the tops of your feet. And feel the clothing and the shoes against your skin of your feet and your legs. And as you move up your body, begin to feel the pressure of the seat that you're sitting on and the clothing of the lower body, front and back and sides. And allow yourself to become aware of the in-breath and the out-breath as it rises and falls in the abdomen. And again, feeling the cloth against your skin, your upper torso, and your arms. And feel the energy in your hands. Become aware of your neck, your throat, your jaws, and just even become aware of where you have your tongue, because sometimes we hold tension there, and just let your tongue relax. Your forehead, and the top of your head, back of your head. And just dropping deeper and deeper into the present moment, into this state of wide open receptivity to something greater than what we have perceived ourselves to be. And realizing in this moment that we are surrounded by the field of pure potentiality and possibility. Source energy, intelligence, all kinds of divine ideas and spiritual prototypes seeking expression through us, as us, the ones that are perfect for us. Knowing that we're surrounded in love, so we are drawing from the very highest realms of existence, that those realms in which love and light and beauty and grace reside. And so as we deepen into the silence, we ask the question, what would my life look like, feel like, sound like to be fully awake and present to who I am in every moment? And so as you begin to receive impressions, they can be thoughts, they can be sounds, they could be visions, whatever form they come through for you. I invite you to write them down as they come, and as you finish writing, you can close your eyes and go back into the silence. And I also invite you just to keep moving through the questions and answering them. I'm going to give you about 10 minutes to complete. And fully awake and present, even in the middle of the wake, means even in the middle of life's challenges. wrap up whatever you've been writing. If you would please bring it to a close. Okay. So I want to end this in a very powerful way by inviting everybody to stand and hold your papers in your hands. Got your paper? Okay, we haven't done this for a while, but this is very powerful. We're going to use a little bit of things that we've learned from NLP. So you can do either way that you would like. You can either raise your arms up, hold your paper in your hand, and stand straight and proclaim the truth, or you can use Superman style, and you can stand with your hands on your hips and your legs apart. So we're going to stand in our power as we claim this vision as fully realized. Okay, you ready? Oh, we're going to have, I see a lot more people doing this time. Okay, there are a few doing that. That's good. Okay, you ready? All right. I now proclaim that I am fully available and ready. Totally willing to live my life awake, alert, alive, and in the present moment. I know that this is the state of consciousness of mastery, spiritual mastery. I claim that as my new way of being here and now. I let go of the old ways that don't serve me. I embody the qualities of the divine that I am in truth. I say yes to this. I say a really big yes to this. And so it is. Woohoo!